This comment made me think. I know you've been hurt before, and I know that you will be hurt again. Me too. Let me start by asking you this question. If you can't take care of what you already have, what makes you think you are ready for more? We say that we want new relationships, we want new friends, or I'm sure you've heard before, I want a new beginning. I'm going to quit everything and start fresh. And that person has been on their 10th new beginning of the year. It's been 30 new beginnings. You've changed countries 30 times. And yet, it's never their fault. But wherever you go, there you are. It doesn't just apply in new beginnings or relationships, but it applies on how we perceive ourselves and what we believe we are worthy of receiving. And I know that human relationships are scary. They're even scarier when you don't have a good example or a good reference of what they're supposed to be. When no one gave you a proper example of healthy love, of healthy bond, when you had to take so much responsibility so young, when the love you received was conditional to your actions and your actions only, when your worth was associated to your productivity, it's completely normal to think that most people will start seeing you as such, as someone to use, someone to throw away, someone to discard, and we're not always aware that we have those feelings, but they do show up in our actions. You know what I mean? Look at me in the eyes. Let me get more precise. When you're used to people walking away from your life or making you feel like the love you deserve is conditional to what you do, the minute someone wants to be in your life, you are going to not only doubt it, but test it. And you're not aware that you're running these tests. You might say something hurtful to someone. You might ghost when things are good. You might provoke something, a situation, or what we call self-sabotage, baby. You know it. Oh, we know it. And that's not a bad thing when you are unaware, because you think that's just who you are, that you have no choice but to be that silly little person who needs to self-sabotage every single time something goes good. And we get tied up in these identities and we start to believe that this is who we are. And this is why you've been feeling what you said to me, which is the fear of being alone. Reality is, you live alone, you die alone. Get comfortable with that. Would you resist persist? You can try to pretend like you're not living life on your own. But between you and I, you don't really need them. But you choose them. And when you make a choice that comes from the bottom of your heart, nothing feels more empowering. Suddenly, you're not running away from the nature of life and the egotistical side of being a human creature. You are simply making it your own. The fear of being alone is like the fear of breathing. But you do it unconsciously, so you don't have to think about it too much. And being alone doesn't mean being lonely, by the way. But I'm sure you know that. Actually, I know you know that. Because being alone is, let's say me in this space right now, I'm alone. There's me, you, behind the screen, but physically in the 3D, I'm alone. However, because I know you're here watching and loving every word I'm saying, I feel connected to you. And this is true for the friends that you have that aren't physically with you, or the memory of old, maybe roommates, workers, co-workers, parents, acquaintances, I don't know. But what I do know is that you've been connected all of your life. And for two people to connect, you need two pieces coming together and bringing something to one another. The fear of not falling in love or not experiencing what we see in the movies, which is usually the tough love, the intense back and forth, the deep rejection, fighting for a relationship that at the end of the story, at the end of the day, ends up working. And you think that with everything you're doing, working, taking care of yourself, building your friendships, building your relationships, or trying to, and also your money, and figuring out how to manage everything and to remain consistent, you are telling me that you could have the time to live a storyline that was written for your entertainment only, where people are paid to act as this fantasy, this grandiose experience of love. And that is where your personality comes into play. The older you get, the more you know yourself. And maybe you're suited for a relationship that's intense, and maybe you're suited for a relationship that's more comfortable. But a relationship requires you to be whole, to know yourself, know what you want out of a relationship, for you to meet someone who is going to match you on that. Most of the time, the fear of being alone comes from the lack of clarity in our personality. We think that we want comfort, but then we get around people that feel very comfortable, they love the routine, and they could do the same thing every night. Watching a movie, eating snacks, just hanging around, seeing some friends, rinse and repeat, and they're happy. And that happiness is real, or else they would be doing something else. And maybe you meet someone like that, and you're thinking, I'm totally this way. I can do this. And yet, internally in your head, you're wondering, why are we still watching the same thing? I want to do something else. Maybe I can change them. And they didn't ask for anything. They didn't ask for your help. They didn't ask for a lifestyle coach. They didn't ask for a renovation of their routine. They believed that you guys were a great match because you were both putting in the same kind of actions. You do accept to watch a movie with them. You go to their place every night. That's a routine. But if you know that internally you don't feel good in that setting, that's a sign that something else is in the book for you. And that's your responsibility to listen to your gut. People only see your actions. If you are showing up every day to their place to watch a movie, and deep down you feel unsatisfied, what they're seeing is you showing up consistently and making the decision of being here. And it is your responsibility to see how you feel about it. There is no right or wrong. Loving a routine doesn't make you a bad person. It's a personality type. But everyone deserves respect. So if you feel like you are unsatisfied with that and you become bitter in these relationships, it's simply because you haven't evaluated who you are to begin. And you need to go back to the drawing board and really ask yourself, who am I? What is my personality type? What makes me happy? And from there, if you need a relationship that's more dramatic, requires more back and forth, more chaos, emotional uncertainty, then you must pair with someone who's also willing to do that. And just know that your relationships will take a higher percentage of your day-to-day life versus someone who is into routine in their relationships but take a lot of risk at work. You remember I told you about the triangle of life, where you have health, wealth, and relationships. We literally drew it together. And everyone has a personality type. It doesn't matter what takes most of your time or most of your focus. What matters is that you stop resisting who you are by trying to put your focus elsewhere when deep down you already know what is for you and what kind of person you are. Let's be real. And I don't mean the app, because who cares about taking a photo at a certain time of the day? I mean, the only reason I kind of removed the app from my phone, to be honest with you, is because it just feels like a responsibility to me. I don't know. And it didn't feel fun. And that's a good example that we can actually take. Some people will love using an app a certain way with certain restrictions. And other people will be like, nope, that's a responsibility. And you will feel the same way about anything. But wherever you go, there you are. You can have 30 new beginnings, and it's still about you. You bring your personality everywhere you go. You bring your character everywhere you go. You bring who you are to the core, your human experiences, everywhere you go. And if something isn't working for you anymore, do not fear. Embrace and take the responsibility to make the right changes, because you deserve to live your life. And even though we go through life mostly alone, choosing the right company will make it worth it. But if you live in fear, what you are truly experiencing is a lack of self-awareness. You feel weak. You think that people are here to get you, as if they had the power after everything you've gone through, after every challenge you've overcome. You're gonna tell me that people have that kind of power over you? And listen, when you're ready to snap out of it, you'll be ready to snap out of it. And I believe in you. But you must believe in yourself. If you want to talk to me one-on-one, check the description box. Thank you so much for listening. And if you wish to hear more, have an extra video per week from me, access behind the scene content, subscribe to my Patreon. If you wish to give me anything from my wish list, everything is linked in the description box. Do not forget to follow me on social media. My Instagram is at Masha Katasonov, right here. And my TikTok is at Masha Katasonov, right here as well. This week's vid you'll see, watch it before you watch this. But I talk about how at the end of the day, we just don't want to die alone. And then we find someone, and it's not enough. You screw it up for the sake of remaining consistent. And I'm posting this on Patreon, I trust you guys, and you got no choice when you're working off miracles. All the odds are against you, no one is there to help, but you gotta make things happen. Like, you literally have no choice.